leading the way out of the stadium. There's Ebba Andersson. What a brilliant victory from her yesterday. Mike, Andersson started after Karlsson in the time trial, pipped her by, 6 seconds? Had it been the other way round in terms of the start, what would the result have been?
Do you know, I think it would have been the opposite way around, because Ebba Andersson started exactly 5 minutes track time behind her teammate Karlsson, and she did have that advantage. They were equal at 8Ks, and she managed to pull back those precious 5 seconds.
Yeah, I would say I'd agree with you, provided that Karlsson didn't go as hard over the first 3K as she did yesterday. I think she panicked a little, decided to put the pressure on, and we saw it in both the men and the women's race. You paid a price if you went too hard, and that will be the same today. Krista Palmer-Koski, I still can't believe she's only 31. She seems to have been around forever. What a star she has been for the Finnish team, and Heidi Weng for the Norwegian team. An astonishing 103 podiums to her name, and she got 13 victories in that, so it's turning out to be an outstanding career for Heidi Weng.
It is, and she was against the two biggest names, wasn't she, for so long, Björgen and Johaug, so getting those first positions was never easy.
On the starters' orders, and just a reminder, 24:49 for the 10K yesterday. So in the women's, I think, freestyle pursuit, sub 50 minutes certainly. Well, I thought it was my headphones that were singing away. I think from the fact that everyone's got their fingers in their ears, we know that it's nothing to do with technical issues at this end. And so, yeah, that's not very pleasant. They'll be glad to get out of the stadium. Extraordinary interference coming from across the border, perhaps.
And so interesting that they all had to block that sound out, because they want their mindset so focused on now the mission ahead of them.
Well, if there was any doubt as to how Andersson would play it, I think we've learned from the first 50 metres that she's going to go hard from the start. Karlsson follows her out, 6 seconds behind. Katarina Hennig looking for another podium. She's had 4 in her career so far. 5 is Palmer-Koski, starting just behind the best Norwegian, Kalva. Heidi Weng goes 6. Rosie Brennan starting number 7 on the right-hand side of your screen. She said she'd wait and see what the others did. She already knows what the others are doing. They're going absolutely 100%. It's a 20k race, remember, which is an unusual, an unprecedented distance for the women. Niskanen away, Theodorsen for Norway starting 12, 13 is Victoria Karl of Germany, tall athlete, she'll look to make some ground. And then we've got Emma Ribon, who won the sprint on Friday, waiting to start number 16. She's got 1 minute and 4 to make up on the leaders. I'm not sure she's ever going to see her teammates who are out front.
It's a big task, isn't it? Emma Ribon, more a sprinter than she is a distance racer, and the distance today is far, 20 kilometres.
18 is Coletta Ridzek of Germany, starting just ahead of Jessie Diggins. Should be a cheer for Diggins. Little bit, few clapping hands. She's popular around the world. Katarina Gantz is away. Stuart Jones for Canada, only 1 minute 19 behind the leaders. Therese Stadlober, we would expected her to be a bit better yesterday, obviously not on brilliant form, but she did really well in the Olympics, went from 11th to 3rd in the second phase of the skiathlon, so maybe she's thinking she can do something similar today.
And I think the distance will also suit her. And Jessie Diggins, you mentioned her, the speed she set off. I think Jessie Diggins is going to be the biggest mover today. From 19th, I think she'll be visualising that positive mind of hers. She'll be visualising a podium.
Now these two fairly evenly matched, Mike. I still think Karlsson is probably the more efficient freestyle skier. Who is the brighter, who's the most intelligent skier of the two?
Both of them are still, I think, learning. We've seen historically Ebba Andersson just go crazy from the gun. Yesterday she didn't do that. I think for the first time she held back a little. On the other hand, you mentioned to Frida Karlsson going too fast over the first 3Ks yesterday. So they're still on a learning journey. They're only 23 and 25-year-old. They still haven't really found the best way out there.
Yeah, I think Andersson is more like Holland, quite happy to lead the way. doesn't always bring you that much success. Karlsson, I think, will be the happier of the two sitting in behind and what they would call free riding.
Do you know, we've seen that, haven't we? We've seen Ebba Andersson taking on so much of the donkey work, and it never pays off.
Yeah, a gap of 13 seconds has grown to 20. The battle, as expected, is going to be for the third place, unless those two leaders go too hard, and that's a punishing pace they've set over the first K and a half.
Well, actually, for Karlsson to take 6 seconds out of Ebba Andersson, who's not going on a Sunday stroll, that's quite a turn of pace for Frida Karlsson.
Niskanen goes through at 39. She started at 38, so she's travelling pretty well. Victoria Karl now at 44, having started at 45, so a really good start from her. 14 is Ingvild Östberg. You'll remember from years gone by. Great to see her back on the tour. Great to see her looking healthy, but a little bit race rusty, I think, was the conclusion from the Norwegian press, and I think there's better to come from her, but she had a very slow start yesterday. Can't afford that today.
She can't, and I think, as you say, the more races into the season, if you're not entirely on form, you soon pick your form up. All the training's in the body, and now you just need races to bring the form back.
So the two leaders under the Grille banner, and Andersson leading the whole way. It's a good long glide, efficiency of movement, and you can see that when they come over the top of the hill and approaching a downhill, the person leading has to work for 3 or 4 strides more than the one behind. Exactly the same when you come off the downhill. The person leading has to start that little bit earlier, and those little percentages add up as the race goes on.
And you know, we've all been there, either on a bike or running or cross-country skiing, when you're tucked in behind. What, they're averaging 23, 25 kilometres an hour today. It's a huge advantage getting the wind drafting in behind the athlete.
Yeah, and I think as soon as Andersson hears that I suspect after the first lap they could be 25, even 30 seconds clear of the rest, then she's got to say, okay, I've done my bit for a while, and let Karlsson lead that second lap.
I'm surprised it hasn't already happened, you know, with Karlsson getting on the tails of her skis so quickly. Just let her go ahead, take a break at the front.
So Karlsson sitting in behind. It's certainly easier to ski in front in terms of your rhythm. You're setting the pace. You're reading this. You can see every little bit of the track, so you're reading exactly where you want to have your foot placement. But they're such good athletes that actually skiing within 1.5 meters of someone in front is pretty easy for them.
It really is, and you know, we're designed to, our peripheries are important, but when you're the athlete in front, you're not seeing any body language from the athlete that's on your tail, and it can become annoying.
Well, this group have closed up over 25 seconds, so we've got a decent group. Rosie Brennan sitting on the back there. We'll try and track Jess Diggins.
Best mover. She's the best mover. She's pulled back 8 seconds to 1.1 kilometre, and that's some early pace she's setting.
Yeah, but she started 1:18 behind, so she's still 1:11 off, or 1:10 off the leaders, and lots of work to do. But if that chase group, who aren't chasing, if they just play a game, you know, get caught in a little bit of gamesmanship, then Diggins is one who's going to capitalise on that.
Very much. Still surprised at 6 minutes that Ebba Andersson is taking on all of the lead work.
Now, do you think they had a chat before the race and agreed lap by lap?
I thought they would certainly. The coaches would have said, right, let's get a little chat here and just discuss what is going to be. Of course, it's all about winning, and they won't have any friendship lost there. They both know they're race animals and they'll be fighting for the line. But I'm surprised they haven't figured out some pace sharing at the front.
This is where things could change, and this is a really good opportunity for Ebba Andersson just to say, okay, I'm going to control things on this climb and let Karlsson come through. She then gains on 2 accounts, but I don't think she knows second gear.
She doesn't, and they're very safe right now, aren't they? Look at the margin back to this chase group, led now by Paul McCoskey. It's still around, 20 seconds.
Tua Ludnesveng, the World Cup leader, virtue of a good finish in the sprint event, is wearing the yellow bib. She's at the back of this chase group. Number 4, Ann Kirsty Calvert, never been on the podium. She comes from just south of Trondheim, a place called Lundamo. That's a great place to train. A little bit wet in the summer, but plenty of snowfall at this time of year. Although I see Norway's, got problems in terms of weather in the southern half of the country. It's hovering around the sort of 5, 6, 7 degree mark.
Yes, I just got some photos yesterday from Lillehammer. The snow just came. Dominik Lazarski sent some photos. She's there, ready for the World Cup to watch it. I'm just thinking, yesterday my happiest result was Calvert finishing 4th, her best ever result. She's been on the World Cup, not included often, but for the last 8-10 years.
Yeah.
And this is the best we've ever seen at 30-year-old. So wonderful to find some magic at 30 in the World Cup racing.
Blooming late in her career, but when you're in the Norwegian team, Mike, or when you're Norwegian, getting into the team is a tough task. And there aren't many who get in a long time before they actually get to their top level.
Yes, and to come through, you're normally with Johaug, with all the big names over the years in the Norwegian team. It's so hard to get into, and most athletes give up because they're not given that opportunity. And Calva has stayed with it, and it's paid off.
Yeah, 24 seconds, the gap between the leading 2 and the chase group at the moment. Palmakoski, Weng, Calvert, Dahlqvist, Til Ludnisveng is there as well. Heidi Weng's made a good move, Mike. She's gone from 6 up to 4, and she started 21 behind. She's still at 25 behind, so hasn't lost too much ground to the 2 Swedish leaders. And as we say that, we see that the lead has changed. If this happens lap after lap, I think that will have been agreed.
Jessie Diggins got it down to 1 minute and 3 seconds. It was 1 minute and 18 seconds, but on the negative side, she's not taking many athletes yet, but I think she will. She's in 17th position.
Østberg started 14, still sitting in 14. She started 54. She's down to 1:01, so not matching the pace of these 2 athletes. Karlsson looking very, very relaxed. She's a tall woman, Mike, so with Ebba Andersson sitting behind her, she's getting a little more benefit.
She is, and maybe this was the plan. Okay, we'll take lap each, and they've got a safe margin now, so they've got a very comfortable 24.8 seconds, and they know they're good enough to not let that slip.
Maja Dahlqvist taking her turn at the front of the chase group. This shot always makes it look as though they're right on the heels of the leaders, but 24 seconds that distance is in terms of time, and it gives you some idea of how steep, how long that climb is.
And because this is very new, it's the first time the women are doing the same distance as the men. I think we're going to see many athletes. They're attacking this like it's a 7.5 or a 10K. I think we'll see many athletes really fatiguing in the last quarter.
Yep. Ebba Andersson wanting to keep the pace honest as we see the chase group up. Palmakoski wearing 5. Brilliant career. 5 times she's finished in the top 4 of the World Cup. She was 3rd last season in the overall World Cup. Doesn't sit out a lot of races, but were she a top sprinter, then I think she would have been challenging for wins.
She would, and 34 podiums, 5 wins, but it's been so hard with Björgen and Johaug to get those wins. It's been almost impossible that they were that far ahead of the field.
Yeah.
And then Palmakoski, always good at the majors, really, isn't she? With 5 Olympic medals.
Yeah. And I still think probably the highlight of her career. Well, she was outstanding out in Pyeongchang last year. As we see Jess Diggins doing what she always does and giving it 110%. Now, in terms of technique, if you compared Karlsson and Diggins, I know that different heights, so different styles, but there just seems to be a little bit more connection between the upper body and the lower body with Karlsson. just see a little sort of wave of movement that I can't help thinking is slightly inefficient.
I think everyone's different. You know, we can identify people when they're out running. Everyone's got their own body shape, size, but efficiency is the game. And Karlsson, I think you're right, is incredibly smooth. The connect with the arms to the explosiveness and the extension of the drive leg. Her timing is exceptional. Her balance is great.
With so many sports, the easier they make it look, the better it is.
Yeah, and I think with Jess Diggins, she's got some footage out of, she was in New York in October and doing a beautiful dance routine, sort of spontaneous. She's got incredible movement and awareness, so she's got this incredible balance and movement as well. She's done a few dance videos actually, and they're all brilliant. But Jess Diggins, she's not thinking about dancing now. She's thinking about pushing hard, and she's beginning to move forward from that 19th position. And I think she'll make contact with this group, Jess Diggins, because they're losing the momentum to think, well, we can't win now. We're fighting for third place.
Absolutely. Margin at the moment is 30 seconds, as Mike said. And is that just going to grow and grow? They may decide, let's save ourselves for next week.
This is incredible. You know, only 4 kilometres in a 20-kilometre race, and these two from the same nation are just now, it appears as if they're just trying to win, go early and take the win, but I don't think either of them will get rid of the other until the final climb.
Hennig looking for another podium, and they'll be aware that there are more athletes behind them. That's Victoria Karl. Number 10 is Kerttu Niskanen, and Niskanen, what did she do? She gained in the second half of the skiathlon at the Olympics, went from 8th to 4th, but last year in this event she dropped from 7th down to 9th, so be interesting to see how she fares today.
Victoria Karl, this is looking like she's improved in terms of freestyle, very aggressive.
11 was Moa Ilmar. Skis a little bit like Charlotte Kalla. If she's half as good as Charlotte Kalla, she's going to have a good career. Kalla sadly retiring during the summer. She didn't make her mind up at the end of last season. I sort of suspect that was to avoid any, press interest and just take the pressure off her.
I think so, because there certainly would have been a lot of support, a lot of interest, and added pressure maybe at the end of the season. I thought she might continue, see how it went this year, but let's be honest, Kalla did a lot for Swedish cross-country.
And she did a lot for Sweden on these tracks as well. Some classic battles between Kalla and Björgen, and then with Kalla and Johaug. I think we will have to go back 3-4 seasons before we saw her on her really best form.
Now this is really working hard. Karlsson has gone ahead and up the pace on this climb. She is a great steep climber. Slightly lighter body weight, which is an advantage going uphill.
Karlsson looks as though she's on a Sunday stroll, the athlete in front. Anderson wearing the red bib as the leader of the Distance World Cup after her success yesterday in the 10-kilometre Classic, and we'll get another split here. Last time we saw them, they were 30.8 clear of third place. After that climb, I think that 30 seconds is going to be closer to 40, maybe even 45. Except it's a slightly shorter route into the stadium, so let's stick at around 40.
Some big names in there, and they are sharing short share of the lead, so they really are working together to try and close down, but it's actually not working.
So it's grown from 30 to 38.3. Is there any coming back from there? I don't think so. I think the two out front, although they're definitely working hard, I think they're making it look easy. Looks to me as though Jess Diggins is now leading the second chase group and could make contact with the leaders.
She is. 57 behind Jess Diggins.
that movement I was talking about with Diggins, it comes from the head. And the Americans, I think, even in the early days of skating, they used to lead left and right with the head. And Jess, although it's not a left to right movement, it is a little dip, which, you know, I don't know, but you compare it to Karlsson's head virtually never moves.
Yeah, she's just so composed on the skis. A little bit like Benny Doll in the biathlon. He's very much head-led on his skating technique. But it's fascinating me that they have now such a margin. It keeps on growing, 38 seconds, so they're clear out. That's only 6 kilometers in a 20k race. So it really is just now a head-to-head. They're teammates, but there has been, let's be honest, over the years, a lot of very close rivalry. And often the body language, yes, when you've got someone in your team that's taking your positions, you know, as the one that's in the way of the top place, it's, I suppose it can be annoying.
Yeah, 15,000 Swiss francs to the winner. That's not to be sniffed at, particularly at this time of year. That will help with the heating bills. 25 metres to go to the split point, and the chasers are still in the background. We've got that visual contact that is always so important.
They're having a little chat there.
Yeah, I think she said take it a little bit further.
Ah, yes, she offered her through. Karlsson said come through, and yep, maybe take it further. I think Ebba, in second place, Ebba Andersson, looks like she's on, you know, she's burning a lot of energy there.
Yeah, I think Karlsson looks the more comfortable of the two, certainly. Tempo is slower, the glide is longer, the breathing is certainly not as deep, and the body movement is more stable. So Karlsson has my money at the moment, as we see Brennan take the pace, 37.5. They've closed a second. First time the chase group have started to go faster. Heidi Weng is in there. Calver, Tilwitness Weng, the World Cup leader. Hennig, not out of touch in terms of another podium, but I would be surprised, because all her success has come in the classic style, but she's looking pretty good. Karl is there. Niskanen is there. Diggins at 1 minute. Still a bit of work to do, but she really, I think Diggins needs to make contact with that leading chase group by the time they go through the stadium next time.
I think, and I think she will actually. I think she's definitely going to make contact, although Rosie Brennan now is saying, okay, we need to punch this pace higher, we need to try and close them down.
Hennig starting to fall off the pace there. Dawson of Norway likewise. 10, as we've seen before, Kertu Niskanen.
In fairness, Kertu Niskanen, she's struggling right now. Her strength is classic technique, and today the freestyle isn't really suiting her strengths. There we are. Change of leader.
Yeah, beautiful winter scenes here. Temperatures down at around -7 at the moment, and then by the time we get the men's race underway, expecting the temperature to start to drop. Finland, of course, 2 hours ahead of the UK, and you only get about 2 hours of daylight anyway in this part of the world.
Well, yes, you can just feel and see the light is beginning to fade at 1 local time.
Well, I think the pace in that lead group, or in the chase group, is starting to pick up. 17 going the other way is Masako Ishida, who had a very, very solid classic race. What is she now? 42 years old, and still the leading light in Japanese skiing. I wonder whether she was keeping her eye on the World Cup this morning. I think Japan playing Croatia today. I
think so. Certainly, if she was watching it, she'll be inspired, because they really have upped their game. And Ishida, coming into this season, a 42-year-old, I thought she did an excellent job yesterday, finishing 17th. Now, the trouble with a short lap 6 times is when you're racing, you can forget. You're just not aware how many times you've been round the lap. And we have seen some errors in the past here. And in fact, it was Heidi Weng, wasn't it, further back?
Yeah, Heidi Wengers. Did she go into the finish too early?
She did. Well,
she went. Yeah, she went into the finish too early and lost her chance of getting a win.
She looks good today. There she is in second place in this chase group, Heidi Weng.
Yeah, health issues over the years and often her form deserting her before the big championships.
Rosie Brennan really put the work in there to keep this at 38 seconds, and it's good to see Palmer Koski trying to keep that initiative, the strength of pace.
Yeah, who in that group hasn't done their share at the front? I'm not sure Heidi Wengers led the chase group. She's right up with the leaders. She's just behind Palmer Koski at the moment. Palmer Koski's never shy of doing a bit of work out front.
The one for me, that has been just efficient and not taking anything on is Dahlqvist, the sprinter. Maya Dahlqvist, she's sort of mid-pack. She's just taking it.
Oh, yeah, she's on the left of your screen at the moment, wearing 8, Dahlqvist. Yeah, she'll be dangerous when it comes to the last lap.
And that's her hope. She doesn't want to take on any work. She just knows that she can certainly beat all of this group if it comes to a sprint.
Yeah, 10 and 12 have made contact again. So the pace has eased a little bit at the front since Palmer Koski went up there. Palmer Koski looks to be pretty close to the limit, to be honest. But she knows these tracks better than anyone else in that group, so I wonder whether she's got a cunning plan. And I think if she has, it's going to have to come on the penultimate loop, not the last one.
Oh, fatigue is going to play a part. 678 metres of climb within this 20 kilometre, and not even at half distance.
Now, Mike, in terms of interval training, if you do a 6-rep interval, which one tends to be the fastest, and which one tends to be the easiest mentally?
It's tough, isn't it? I think the first one's always hard.
The hardest,
because
slow.
You're trying to put in a massive effort. Second one, body's ready for it. So I think second, third, fourth are good. And then I think when you're trying to match up the same times, 5 and 6 can be quite tough. But mentally, you can always find a little bit extra, can't you?
And the last one?
Yeah, hurting, but you want to put a good one in.
I think that's where you always find there's something left in the tank.
Yeah.
And so the point of bringing that up is if anyone leaves their attack to the last loop, everyone's thinking it's the last loop. It doesn't matter how painful it is. Whereas if you go on the penultimate one, they're all thinking, oh my God, we've got another lap to go. I'm not going to chase this.
I think it can break the mindset, and they've all got very strong mindsets. You can't get to this level without having had at least 80 races, 100 races throughout your junior years, and then up into this level. But it's surprising that the lead two are only 25 and 23, and then the rest behind them, 26-year-old, 30, 31, 31, 31, 28, 34. It takes time.
Look who's in there.
She's made it.
Look who's in there, Jess Diggins. But my goodness, she's had to work hard. She'll be well aware. But that's good news for her because it's not been the best of starts to the season. But I don't think we were expecting to see fireworks from Jess Diggins early on. We did say on the very first day, we said, she's one of the potential overall winners. But you cannot let Karlsson and Anderson pick up too many points and get that far ahead.
No, and Jess Diggins with this new point system has found herself, way back in terms of points, but she's in contact now with this big chase group as we thought she would, and now she needs to rest up, I think, if she can.
Yeah, so after the first 2 races, 68 points separating the top 10. Last year, the gap was much, much bigger.
Yes, I think this year the points allocation is much, much better.
Good burst of speed coming in from Heidi Weng. They're on lap 4 of 6, as you can see. And Heidi Weng with Palmer Koski there. Dahlqvist is there, but just get an indication that Dahlqvist is losing a little bit of ground on this climb. And the gap has gone from 2-3 metres to 4 or 5. That's painful. Palmakoski nips in ahead of the Finn. Number 4 coming up is Calver, who's had an outstanding race. She was so disappointed to miss out on the podium, and I saw the body language yesterday and I was thinking, come on, you're in 4th, but you know, at 30 years old, just missing her first ever podium by a second.
Oh, I felt so sad for her, and it was, and she started so early in the race. Hey, do you know, I think this crazy turn of pace in the chase group, I think that was Heidi Veng thinking, okay, we've got Jess Diggins now that she's just touched us, I'm really going to hurt her by upping the pace. I think that's what's going through Heidi Veng's mind.
Possibly the next split, this split at 11 kilometres at 9.9, 48.5 between first and third position. I think we can stop worrying about that margin. These two can play it however they like from here on in. .24.30 to the 9.9, the sort of halfway stage, Mike. We might be lucky to go under the 50 minutes. I thought it would be a little bit faster.
I must admit, what are we, -6, -7 snow? It's quite aggressive snow, but yeah, I think they're going to drop off that first 9.9 and 24.37. I think it's going to be over 50.
Yeah, we're just about a minute between the leaders and the chase group. It's not like cycling where they can wind it up. Yes, you go faster on the downhills in a big group than you do in a group of 2, but I think what we're going to see is that this race for third position becomes very, very tactical. Veng, Palmakoski will definitely want to go early. Diggins might have faith in her sprint speed, although the sprint on Friday in the Classic wasn't brilliant, but I think she's likely to feel she can do something. The longer the rest she gets now, the better.
I think so, and that's where Heidi Veng has been really cruel to Jess Diggins. She just makes contact, and then Heidi Veng, who hadn't taken on any lead work, has just put this incredible pace change, and it's really split that chase group, and it's really hurting Jess Diggins when she so wanted to rest up.
Yeah, and maybe that's surprising that she's done that, but still lost time to the two leaders.
Yeah, the leaders are inspired. They're fighting against each other. They're really trying to break each other. I'm surprised the coaches maybe haven't given them the advice. Well, listen, you're so safely in first and second place, nearly 50 seconds ahead now. They can't be caught.
Plenty of red suits in the chase group. 4 is Calver, 6 is Heidi Veng. We've got Ingvild. Was Usberg in there as well? I'm not sure Usberg made contact. I think it was Thea Dawson wearing 12 and not 14.
You could see that was Victoria Carr. We just saw she's exhausted with that turn of pace from Heidi Veng.
.2:50 for the last kilometre. Moving along quite nicely at the moment, and the chase group gets bigger and bigger. Diggins dropped off a little, having done so much hard work to make contact. But Veng's push, I think, has just eased up a little as we see Anderson back in towards the stadium. The ski jump on their right at the moment. They drop down, traverse a little along the side of the hill below the accommodation blocks, and then back up into the stadium, up the killer hill that we see in every race here in Ruka, but it's particularly significant when it comes to the sprint event.
I'm so happy now that Jess Diggins is going to get some recovery. She really needs it at this point in the race, and she just needs to try and, I think, rest up for a full lap.
I tell you, that is Usberg who's made contact, Mike. She's just behind her teammate, Thea Dawson, who's wearing 12. 14 is Usberg, and looking very, very light. 20k a long way when you're fresh out of semi-retirement.
It is, and she does look great. Yes, she worked with Jess Diggins. And that's Victoria Carr getting a little wedged in there on the inside. And the pace has definitely dropped down. We've
got some quality in that chase group with Heidi Weng, who's a former winner of the overall World Cup. Usberg, who's a former winner of the overall World Cup. Hennig leading the way, undoubtedly the best German on the tour, but she's got good company with, particularly with Victoria Karl, who's there wearing 13.
Quite interesting, those red suits of Norway, all 5 of them. Will they work together? Can they create a roadblock? They won't need to quite yet.
Well, I'm going for Karlsson for the win, just because of the ease of movement that we've seen so far. I'm really struggling to pick a winner out of this chase group.
Well, at the start of the day, I thought, my mind, if she could live with that 1 minute 18 seconds pullback, which is huge. Before the day started, I thought Jess Diggins can create miracles. We've seen it so many times. And I think if she gets some slow-paced time here, she still is a big threat for 3rd place.
Yeah, well, just watch Diggins on the climb. She's at the back of this group at the moment. There goes Usberg, who looks beautifully smooth. The technique is immaculate from Usberg. No sign of weakness there as we see the 2 leaders through the 13.2 stage. 4 laps completed. And we still have 2 to go, 6.6 kilometres to finish this one off. There's Usberg on the right-hand side. Nice flex at the ankle and the knee. The upper body position stays static. Heidi Weng feeding off that strength of Usberg. She's in 2nd place in that group. Hennig doing much better. I didn't think Hennig would stay with the pace this long, but she's still there. And if she gets to this stage on the next lap, I think she'll start to think, right, I'll have a crack at 3rd.
Yes, I think she's got a lot of self-belief. She certainly has put a great summer in. She's admitted that. No major setbacks. And I'm just thinking, Dahlqvist is still, bib number 8, is still the sprinter, is still living with this pace. So as we keep on winding around these laps, her chances are increasing. But still at 49.4 seconds, 50 seconds deficit. The 2 ahead are safely ahead.
Although Norway, Mike, will be disappointed that they haven't won here, which they nearly always do in the women's events, and they're not going to win today, how good is it for the team that the 2 leaders, the Bjørgens and the Johaugs, have gone? Suddenly, there's competition to be the Norwegian number 1. Real competition.
There is. Look, 5 suits there chasing just the 3rd spot. So yes, there's rich competition. I thought we might see Fossesholm come back up and touch this group, but she started the day a long way behind at 1:21, which makes Jessie Diggins' result at 1 minute 18 behind to now be in the group for 3rd place. It's a brilliant start for Jess Diggins. There she is, 19.
There is a wave of red leading that chase group. It is certainly where the entertainment is at the moment. It's just been a standard race, a training run really for Karlsson and Anderson.
You've mentioned Karlsson's technique, very much for me reminding me of Klæbo, that high, so that the extension of the leg swings back behind you to assist the balance forward. It's just so easy, so flowing.
Yeah, very nice, and it makes Anderson's technique look a little bit stilted and short and punchy. Nothing wrong with it, you know, she's had a huge amount of success already, but Karlsson is the one who is efficient, and you know, there's fitness, there's mental approach, there's efficiency, and efficiency is often the determiner of who comes out on top.
And just there's a great comparison there. I'm with you. Karlsson, very smooth, very easy. Ebba Andersson goes a lot lower, the upper body, especially on the steep climb to the stadium. She really drops the body forward. Karlsson, so upright and smooth. And they're making this look easy, but this pace is burning. When the rest of the field, there we are, let's do a changeover.
Yeah, Anderson's not out of it by any means. She's a really gutsy fighter, perhaps mentally the stronger of the 2. So it's going to be a fascinating finish there, as it is going to be for the 3rd place. What would you say to a Swedish 1-2-3 with Dahlqvist getting in for 3rd?
Do you know, as we're getting further along the track now, where are we? 13, 14 Ks. Her chances are increasing, and she knows that. That's why she's not doing any of the hard work in the chase group. Jessie Diggins, there we are, 3rd place.
suddenly decides to pile on the pressure. Now, have we got anyone who's starting to fall off the pace? This is usually where it starts to happen. 13 is Victoria Karl, still in touch very much, but she's got to watch the moves made at the front. 12, that's Silja Teodorsen of Norway. Diggins, remember, came from 1 minute 18 seconds off the leaders, and now she's saying, come on, someone else's turn to come through. Well, if you're going to hand over the lead so soon, why go there in the first place other than to try and up the pace?
Do you know, I think she's just testing. She's looked back there and she's just seen the evidence that what she's doing has got them all in a single file now, and that means they're hurting.
Yeah, Calver looks comfortable though. Number 4, that is Calver. Who was that in third position in that group? Just missed that. Dahlqvist is dropping off slightly, and that's Victoria Karl, I think, who's now lost contact with that chase group. Might be the last she sees of them.
Victoria Karl just looks like she's in survival mode. Just please let this thing slow down. Let me keep in touch with the chase group.
And of course, Tilludnes Veng, I think she's going to lose her yellow bib. So the yellow bib changing hands race by race in the women's tour. It's a different story in the men's. Number 11, that's Moa Ilar, comes from Falun, which is the mecca for sort of Nordic sport, isn't it? A little bit south. I think they may have to move everything a little bit further north to ensure that there's good snow come the Easter period, the mid-March races. Last time split at 14.3. We've still got a gap of 56 seconds, so no danger for these two. Next time through the stadium, they'll get the bell and be heading out on their 6th and final lap here in Ruka and their final day of racing.
I think it's now end game for Victoria Karl. When you're that detached, it means you're on your limit and you're now not able to stay with the pace. She's been trying and now they've burnt her off. And it's interesting, Niskanen is suffering as well. Parmakoski, she's not trying to go with Jess Diggins' pace either. And Katrina Hennig, I think, is suffering as well. Oh, now it's slowed down, so it will give an opportunity for the rest to get back into this chase group.
Yeah, Diggins has said, well, I've tried, no one else is going to help me. Calver now, number 4. Behind her is Usberg, who's cleverly done nothing. Calver is always tucked in behind someone else. Was that a good move by Diggins?
Testing the ground.
So Diggins started 118 behind. We have to keep reminding you of that, because you don't make up 118 without expending a huge amount of energy, and it's going to be a massive test for her when it comes to that final lap.
It is, and Jess Diggins, she'll be saying, someone else, come on, someone else take the lead, and I think it's Calver, who I think has looked so smooth throughout this race, and you mentioned she hasn't taken on much of the lead work, but it's really slowed down. Calver, just that 30-year-old, just looks a very different athlete. Sparky, strong. Yeah, it's all there.
And confident. One good result can give you the confidence you need to attack in a race like this. But I think she's playing it very, very cleverly indeed. 7 is Rosie Brennan at the back. We haven't mentioned Rosie Brennan very much. 33-year-old, of course, from the USA. We had a chat with her at the start of the race, and she said, I'll just see what happens and react to that. Well, she hasn't featured in that chase group, so she's another who hasn't really overextended herself.
She hasn't. She's in second last place in the chase group right now. I think Heidi Veng's playing a clever game. When she punched the pace up, she broke everybody, and she's gone back into the pack, not even attempting to go to the front again. So Heidi Veng, bib number 6.
Yeah, she's at the back of the group, just in front of Rosie Brennan. Here comes Heidi Veng. That could be her move. We did say she'd have to go at some stage on the penultimate loop. Well, she's only got 200 metres of that loop left. And this big climb is certainly a place where you can make a mark. Anderson has a look at the big screen, sees exactly what's going on. They've seen the chasers so often. They know they're they know they're keeping pretty much the same margin, so they know there's no danger from there. Again, the Norwegian wave moves to the front of the chase group. Jess Diggins over on the far side, trying to just relax on the climb. If you're not going to make a break, don't push too hard on this part of the course.
No, and we must not underestimate how stressful it is racing in a tight pack like this. You're aware they're 2 meter skis, or 180 to 2 meters, and there's a lot of tension when you're skiing in a tight group like this. The poles and the skis can get intertangled, but they're not thinking about that now. They're just thinking, this is the last lap. The strong athletes are thinking, what should I do to break the rest?
Now, are you a fan of the 20k all of a sudden?
It's growing on me.
You've got to say it's a great race.
But I mean, we've got a runaway 2, and that was always a threat when it's over this distance. But hey, we've got a fabulous race on now for third place.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what you feel, and our viewers, what their opinion is of the distance. I always enjoyed what they used to have a prologue, as we see the break coming in from Karlsson. That's very, very early on this final loop. She's gone on the first big climb. It is the biggest climb of the race, and Ebba Andersson is left trailing behind. Andersson just hasn't got it left in the legs to stay with Karlsson, and I think that might be the decisive move in this 20k pursuit race. And revenge is sweet.
Oh, revenge. I mean, this is a very powerful break, and I think a very decisive break.
What does she need? 25 metres into the next downhill?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's no drafting at all going to be allowed now for Ebba Andersson, so I think that could be the moment of the race for the victory.
Well, that might be the hit climb. I think the Vengs and the Parmakoskis are starting to try and find their way forward. Jess Diggins is upping the pace as well. I think so many of that group, particularly the older ones, have it in their mind to attack in exactly the same place as we saw from Frida Karlsson. And now Ebba Andersson has to live with the thought that she's lost this one, and also has to bear in mind that the chasers may be picking the pace up.
Oh, and Ebba Andersson is giving everything out on the track now. She knows that she has to contain this. I don't think it's possible.
I was going to talk about the prologues in the Tour de Ski, which were always different distances, 4.7, 3.8, and the athletes had to learn on the go how to cope with that. I really enjoy a new distance. Everyone's got to work things out, and it makes it difficult to predict. And if you can predict the winner in a sport, it's pretty dull. And we certainly couldn't have done that today.
Maybe no, we couldn't. Well, there's
certainly not out of the chase group. Anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, to figure out which one of Andersson and Karlsson are going to win now at 18 seconds, Karlsson has made the biggest pace change in the race.
Yeah, and Karlsson will be in yellow. If things stay as they are, it will be Karlsson who leads the overall World Cup at the end of today. She'll take the yellow bib off Tyrrell Udnesveng, who had it for all of 24 hours.
Well, this is going to be this last, what are we down to now? 2.5 kilometres of the race at the front.
Yeah, it's a lonely ski from now.
I think Ebba Andersson will be really frustrated right now, because she will have thought in her mind that she can match Karlsson. But Karlsson's looking so dynamic.
Yeah, but we have to remember, Mike, they do thousands of kilometres training together, so Andersson knows exactly what Karlsson is capable of.
Oh no, very much. And Calvi again is looking brilliant. She's the one taking the initiative.
Yeah, there's Usberg, who for the first time looks a little bit tighter in the shoulders. Jess Diggins, can she live with the finish pace? Remember, she took a good minute off most of these athletes in the first 4 laps of this race, and now she's got to try and survive the sprint for the finish line. It's Norway dominating at the moment. Calvi leads away wearing 4. Tyrrell Udnesveng just behind her, and then is that Usberg or is it Heidi Weng just in 3rd place in this group? It's Heidi Weng doing really well, 10th to 3rd last year. Heidi Weng, is she going to get on the podium again? I'm not sure. I think the younger skiers in the Norwegian team might get the advantage in the closing stages. Carla's gone. Number 8 is Maya Dahlqvist, the sprinter, the danger of the sprinter. I think it's been eradicated by the pressure put on, particularly by Jess Diggins.
Yes, and Dahlqvist was just hoping it would remain slower, and now sadly she's found herself detached because her strength is sprinting.
Further back down the field, quite a few athletes being lapped now. That's Heiskanen for Finland. Number 47 is Oleg from Ukraine. And 48, Dansum Han of Korea. That group have been skiing together for the last 20 minutes or so, but suddenly they have the company of the winner here today, Frida Karlsson, who's going to wrap it up in a couple of kilometres' time. I think Anderson has relaxed a little now, Mike, recovered from her efforts on the hill. She was starting to look very tight. Not giving up.
Not giving up at all. Well, what a turn of pace from Karlsson to break an 18-second gap within a 1.1 kilometre. It's a huge turn of pace. So Karlsson will be feeling great about the next World Cup in Lillehammer.
Norway, Norway, Norway. USA, USA. And a little bit of Finn on top just to add some spice to that chase group. Odds are on, the statisticians would probably say it's likely to be a Norwegian victory for the third place, but the two Americans working together. Rosie Brennan hasn't done anything in that group, Mike. I think she might have played the smartest game of all.
Yes, I thought she was suffering throughout the journey. Midpoint of the race, Jess Diggins has gone early.
Remember, the big climb into the stadium. We've got a way to go before then. This is a relatively flat part of the course. There is a climb. They go under this bridge, then they climb up and descend back down under the road bridge again. Is Diggins going to try and make a break here to take the pressure off at the end of the race? Certainly looks to be pretty much on full gas.
And they all know they've been beside each other now for 48 minutes. They know whose skis are gliding slightly better. I haven't really picked up on who's his fastest.
Oh, brilliant cornering from Heidi Weng, who's in second position in that group. She still looks fantastically light on the skis, but she's not an out-and-out sprinter. Diggins has put in some brilliant sprints over the years. She's won sprints, so maybe she feels this is her lucky day. She's going to make everyone else work for this.
But you know what, Jess Diggins, she's shown us since she came into World Cup racing that she is the ultimate fighter. The mindset out of all this group is the strongest in Diggins, but has she left enough energy?
Brennan 7 is still comfortable. Palmakoski, we saw a really concerted effort from her to get to the front of the group, but it failed. 300 metres up the track. Here comes Frida Karlsson, wrapping up her first win of the season. A disappointing 10th in the sprint. She was second yesterday in the Classic. She gets her first win of the year here today and the fourth of her career, and denying the teammate that beat her yesterday. Ebba Andersson is going to take second, but all eyes on the chase group. There's only one more spot left on the podium.
That was a great angle to show the steepness, the difficulty of this hill. Look at Heidi Weng in the middle, fifth, sixth.
Heidi Weng looking very light, as is Tyrrell Utnesveng on the nearer side. Tyrrell Utnesveng with a better line into the finish. Ebba Andersson confirms second place, 33 seconds behind in the end. The break coming on that last lap. The two Swedes, the outstanding skiers of the season so far. Here is Tyrrell Utnesveng in yellow. Heidi Weng, I think, maybe going a little bit too early on the climb. Diggins has she's blown a gasket, and it's Rosie Brennan who's come through for the USA, is still there, only 6 metres or so off the podium, but it's Tyrrell Utnesveng who could be securing third place here. I think she will. Heidi Weng in the minor places again, and Thea Dawson of Norway, who we've hardly mentioned, has done brilliantly over the closing stages. Photo finish for that fourth and fifth place, but I think it's going to go to Thea Dawson ahead of Rosie Brennan there, but outstanding. Sweden, the class act, but so many players in that chase group, Mike, an indication of what we've got to come over the next 3.5 months of skiing.
Well, the women's field has changed. Noah Johaug, she's retired, and she was the dominant name for so many years. It's given many more athletes the